Well, good evening. We want to welcome you to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And I tell you, we're just super excited tonight. This All Saints Eve, this Halloween, whatever you want to call it, we're just thankful to be here live and in living color. And so we're excited to get started. We thank you all again for tuning in the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And we're going to jump right in because we got a lot of exciting information that we want to be sharing on this evening. First of all, we want to give a recap of last week's episode, Guidelines for a Successful Blended Family. Listen, if you weren't able to view it, go to our Facebook page and make sure that you see those 2 episodes in their entirety. They were awesome. And I tell you, you're going to be the blessed one for it. But we're going to jump in because, like I said, we got some exciting stuff to share. Listen, this is not a trick, it's a treat. Yeah. And we're going to be sharing some stuff that's just going to be life-changing with you guys on this evening. And so we're going to go right into it. We always like to start off with statistics. And we're going to do a little switch up tonight on how we format things. We're just going to flow. Yeah, we're going to do a little switch up on some stuff. But statistics, I'm going to be reading the statistics tonight. Arguing over how much money to spend on different children or feeling frustrated by an ex-spouse's financial role are common issues for the 65% of remarriages that involve children from a prior marriage, according to the National Step Family Resource Center. And I'm telling you something, we're going to be talking about tonight dealing with finances in the blended family. And so some of our statistics are going to be financial statistics as relates to the blended family. So again, arguing over how much money to spend on different children or feeling frustrated by an ex-spouse's financial role are common issues for the 65% of remarriages that involve children from a prior marriage, according to the National Step Family Resource Center. The second one is, according to the U.S. Census Bureau's latest statistics, roughly $35 billion in child support went unpaid in 2009. So that was in 2009. You can imagine how things are looking in 2017. Just in 2009 alone, roughly $35 billion in child support went unpaid. And the last statistic is the average due to dependent children was $5,960 annually. Wow, guys. $5,960 annually was due to dependent children from child support.
Which really
is not a lot of money. Nothing at all.
No, because it's 12 months in a year. If you think even $1,000, that's $12,000, and this is just saying $5,960.
Wow.
For the year.
Yet only 61% of that money was actually paid.
So that's alarming.
That's beyond alarming. That's downright disgusting.
Yeah, pretty like trifling.
Any way you want to put it, that's what it is. In other words, custodial parents who receive child support get only about $300 per month on average. So $300 a month on average for child support isn't a lot of money.
No.
At all. You know, and it's funny because before we go into it, I remember when I was going up for child support, when they had to do an adjustment on it, and the woman told me how much I was going to be paying. And so I gave her the normal Brandon look, which was almost blank. And she got kind of nervous because she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, why shouldn't I be? You know, that's my son. And so, you know, you do what you do as a parent. I don't care how high the price may be. You know, my son, you can't put a price tag on my child. You can't put a price tag on me being a father or my son, that young man being my son. There is no price for that. That's a product of my intelligent decision, my choice. And I chose to produce and make him. And so I choose to make sure that I provide for him. And so, you know, it was an honor for me, you know, to be able to do whatever I can do to assist in his upbringing. And so, when we look at statistics like this, it's alarming that only $300 is being given to a child.
Course, it's only about.
And
we know you got some that
some are paying more
than that.
But a whole lot paying less.
They may pay less too. So then it depends on how many children, how many different homes it's going into. So,
wow, we didn't even talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Because we know people. I know guys that got money going to four or five different homes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can imagine what that child or what those children are getting on average is definitely not meeting this.
Right.
And so, again, we share these statistics because we're going somewhere.
Right.
And in order to go somewhere, you got to know where you're starting at. And so we're giving you guys a starting point to say, listen, this is where we are, but this is where we need to be. And so we're going to jump right into this. Dealing with finances in the blended family. And so these are some of the things that you need to discuss.
Yeah.
What is a credit score? What is your credit score?
Now, okay, so like some of these things are like things that you should discuss prior to, and then some things pretty much you may have already in the marriage and haven't discussed it and need to discuss it.
Yes.
Or revisit. So
you always revisit.
Like even like with a person's credit score. I think that's like one of the things that should be, even brought up before you go into a marriage.
Almost that's one of the top things that should be brought up. You wanted to, especially in a blended family, that should be brought up because you're bringing two different dynamics together,
right?
That have already experienced some life choices prior to separate from each other. And so you need to know where people stand.
Right.
Because you might want to get together. You might want to buy a house and you can't buy a house.
Or you can only get the house in one person's name because one person might have a credit score of an 800 and then you might got somebody ain't even at 400, like a threesome. Like what, 300? Is that even in the scale?
No, because a funny story. We was going to buy our first house. So they ran our credit. And they pulled up our credit history. And I had a student loan payment of $16 on my credit.
But it was on there like about 5 or 6 times.
It was only about $16. You think this stuff is like not important? You think it don't mean nothing? But let me tell you something. That's $16 reported about 5 or 6 times, different ways, really was affecting my credit. I had no idea because from my standpoint, I didn't have bad credit. And I knew okay, all my stuff was taken care of. I knew my credit, I knew my student loans were taken care of. And, at that time, because that was another student loan. And I was like, why does score look the way it looks? And then when we got the report, it was the student loan for $16. Now understand this, the score wasn't bad, but it was nowhere near what we needed it to be. And so understand you're trying to buy a home and they like, you can't even pay this $16 bill off. But you're applying for a $200,000, $400,000 house and you're struggling with $16. Get out of here.
That was your credit report.
It was so. Let me tell you.
No, but it's serious though because not even like in the fact of asking somebody else what's theirs. It's important for you to know like where you stand.
Exactly.
Even before you need to know like what's your credit score? Where do you stand? What do you have? What do you need to take care of before? Because I'm sure had you known you had that $16.
You guys see. Listen, it is hilarious.
But if you would have known you had that $16 on there by 5 or 6 times, $16. They looking at you
really?
Like, dude, you can't $16 for real? Oh no, they can't help you.
So again, this is one of the things you want to find out. What is your credit score?
Yeah.
What debt do you have and bring into the blended family?
Yeah.
That's important. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you got children outside of that relationship with that dynamic. there's going to be some debt. There's going to be some things that you're bringing in. You need to discuss those things.
Yeah, and if you have some, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having. I'm not gonna say there's nothing wrong with having them, but
No,
nothing
not.
wrong with
Yeah.
having the debt. But at least if you have it, present it to that spouse that you're, the person that you're going to marry, and have a plan for how it's going to be taken care of.
Exactly, because even though that's your child or those your children, when you come into this dynamic, that's a debt.
Now that's right,
That's
and
a
now
debt.
that person
Because
that
that's
you're married
yours.
also,
That's not y'all's. It's yours.
right. But when you enter in, now that spouse is
No, that's what I said. That's not y'all's.
Right.
It's not y'all's. It's yours.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Right. Like now it
Exactly.
belongs to both of us.
You know,
right.
because that was my debt. That wasn't your debt.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to develop a plan on how to deal with that outside of what I needed to bring in.
What you did? Set up a payment plan for your $16. I pay $1 a week.
Whatever. Shots fired.
That was funny. Oh, but no, you gotta have fun.
Yes.
Okay.
So how are or were you
How
with
were
finances?
you with finances? Yeah, like prior to. Okay, so
Now, let me say this. I wasn't good with finance at all. No, this is the finance. She's still the finance person. She's still the one that handles everything because that's her background. She's banking, accounting, taxes. This is her background. That's her specialty. I have no problem with, her being stronger in that area than I am because there are some areas in relationship that I'm stronger in. And so what makes us great together is having that understanding. And so and this is important because we got to segue to this, if you're not the strong one, don't try to handle the finances. If you know you like going shopping, you don't need to be the one responsible for the bills. If you know you don't like to pay bills, you don't need to be responsible for the bills. That person that's responsible, my wife, she handles money down to the penny. I mean, down to the penny. Even pumping gas, it got to be right because she want to make sure that when she account for this money, that it's matching in her mind and it's the same way it's matching on that paper. And so you have to understand, whoever the one that's the strongest in that area, that's the one that should be doing it.
Yeah, because you remember we had to tell a funny story about us, and it's funny because.
I don't know what she about to say, y'all.
No, I was just gonna say it's not bad, but that time we was trying to be like, okay, we'll let you, try to handle it for a minute because you
I was jacking stuff up.
You wanted to, well, no, let me do this.
I wanted to give it a
so
shot.
I'm like, all right, now you sure?
Let me tell you something. That shot lasted 2 months. That shot lasted 2 months, and that's been 18 years ago, and it's been back in her hands. She the one. She the CFO. And so, hey, listen, I let the CFO do the CFO do.
No, and that's just using wisdom.
Yes.
Really, because if one is not the right person for doing it, then you jacking up everybody.
Let me say this. The scripture says it like this. Pride comes before a fall. I had no pride in understanding that was not my thing, that somebody was better than me in it, and I need to let them do what they do. Mm-hmm. And so I turned it right back over to it, and I haven't tried to take it since. And that's been about 17, 18 years ago.
Yep.
And so is there child support involved?
Wait, before we go there, just going to what we were doing, it's like that's when you want to make the decision about who will handle the finances.
Yes.
Because if one person is stronger, then you would want to designate that person that's stronger in that field, in doing it.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Do you pay tithes or give offering? That's
right.
important because let me say this. A lot of people, when they come into the blended family dynamic, even outside the blended family dynamic, even married couples struggle with that. Mm-hmm. Because there are some people that the husband does and the wife don't. Or the wife do and the husband don't. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be on one accord as it relates to that. As far as the money going out of the household. You have to be on one accord because that generates problems and issues.
Right.
And so you want to make sure that your house is blessed. Let me say, when your house is blessed, everything else goes with it. And so it's important to understand those things.
So how would you handle if one spouse wants to tithe and the other one don't?
That's a personal decision. That's a personal. I can't tell you exactly. I can't tell you what to do because I don't know the dynamics of your relationship. I don't know the dynamics in your home. And one thing I definitely don't want to do is I don't want to give you information and then you take my information and you take it in your home and then now your home blows up and explodes because you haven't used wisdom.
You have to agree. You and that spouse have to get together and agree on how that's going to be done.
Exactly.
You know.
And so you use wisdom. Always seek the wisdom of God. God will always give you a plan and a strategy to do the things that you know you should be doing and to get them accomplished. Mm-hmm. And so we want to make sure that we make that plain and clear. Okay? Is there child support involved? If so, how many children? What amounts will be going out weekly or monthly? An old buddy of mine, yes, because there was an old buddy of mine, and this guy, I mean, he made some real good money, but at the end of the day, when he got that paycheck, after taxes, his paycheck was about $1,800. He only brought home $400. Let me say that again. After taxes, his net was $1,800, but what he brought home, once the child support was gone, was about $400.
Wow! So that was
because he had about 4 or 5 kids that child support was going out to, and so what he was bringing home was a struggle.
Right.
And so that's important to understand because we talked about this before. There are deal breakers, and then there are things that break the deal. Yeah. And so if you don't have an understanding or you haven't clearly talked about these things, they're going to either be the deal breaker or they're going to be things that break the deal. And so it's so important to get that understanding.
Yeah. And to put it out there.
Yes.
You know, okay, I have 5 kids. I got 4 baby mothers, you know, or sometimes even the wife may have to, you know, pay child support. There's cases now where women are paying.
It's because there are cases where fathers are taking care of the children, and because the mom, she may be the breadwinner, or she may not be in a position to be able to take care of the child like she wants to. You know, there are a lot of single moms that were raising their boys, but then when their boys got a certain age, they did role reversal.
Right.
And they said, okay, he 11 years old, he 12 years old. Right. He's at a stage now where he needs his dad more than ever before. Now I need you to raise him, and then I'll pay the child support.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, let me say this, it's not about you anyway. It's about that child.
Right.
And so you need to make every provision and every precaution and every measure taken to make sure that that child is taken care of.
Right.
And so
because finances is one of the we know it's like one of the major challenges in, you know, in not just blended families but families period.
My man Nate Mother used to say exactly. Nate Mother used to say this when we was young. Nate Mother said, she said finance, romance and no finance is a nuisance.
That's funny.
So she said romance and no finance is a nuisance. So you got to talk about those things. Do you have separate accounts? This is huge.
Okay.
If so, will you keep separate accounts or have a joint account? Those need to be discussed. Let me tell you something. And there are some reasons why you need a separate account. There are some situations where you need a separate account. I'm not going to tell you what you should do, but there are some things where if you don't, you're going to jack up the whole household.
Right.
And so you need to discuss those things.
Yeah, these are just things that need to be discussed as you're going into the blended family concerning finances.
And even when you're in it, because there's some things where one spouse has made some decisions that they had to make or just made unwisely that put them in a position that if you didn't have a separate account, it would jeopardize the whole household.
Right.
And so again, talk about those things, discuss those things, pray about them. Get wise counsel as it relates to those. Mm-hmm. What are your financial priorities and goals? Get a vision board. Get a goal board. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere where you can look at daily, because where there's no vision, the people perish. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't have a vision of where your money should go, you're going to perish. And what do I mean by that? All your money going to keep going out.
Right.
You're not going to see you guys accomplishing anything. You're not going to see you moving towards any goals. You know what I'm saying? Because most people, they wear what they make anyway.
And then like you might have one that likes to save and one that likes to spend.
Yes.
You know,
One
that likes to buy clothes, one that likes to want to pay the bills.
Exactly. And I was gonna say, and then most couples are like that.
Yeah, you have one that's a spender,
and one that's a
saver. One that likes to pay bills on time. You may have one to be like, oh, it's all right, just long as it get paid.
They got 5 day grace period.
It's due on the first. Pay it on the first. It's due on the first, but you like, oh, well, the month ain't over yet, and it's like the 29th. What? No, but it's important to pay things on time.
Exactly.
Because when you go to pursue, like you want to get a new vehicle or a new home or something, and you haven't been paying your bills on time,
let me tell you,
you're gonna know it at that.
They're gonna come back with that long sheet of paper. Be like,
you're like they pull your credit report. You have one person that come back, you see a sheet like this. Then this other one, you done got yours. They going over you, and the machine back there still going. You're like, what in the world?
Let me tell you something, guys. We know.
Man, Brandon love to look.
Hey, Chief, you better watch it. But we've experienced it. You know what I'm saying? We've been so blessed. I'm telling you.
Lord.
Even like purchasing the car, walking the dealership in there for about maybe an hour, if that. You know what I'm saying? But you're in there and out of there, you're accomplishing things because you prioritize what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
What it is you need to accomplish in order to get what you want out of life.
And if you're not paying stuff on time,
start.
It's never too late
It's
never
too late to start. If things are in a disarray, cancel. Listen, there are always ways where you can get to where you need to be at if you just start somewhere.
Yep.
What are your financial goals and priorities? Buying clothes, things you desire, like to do. Do you have savings, saving fund, 401k, all those different things, stock, bonds, all those things. Life insurance.
I got that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's big too. And so you want to make sure that you're doing all these things and that you're putting all these things in place.
Because that's one thing, like, for us of color at times.
In the community.
Yeah, and people don't want to have insurance policy. Because you hear some people say, oh, I'm going to be dead and gone anyway. Okay, but when you dead and gone, that spouse and the family that's left, then they're left with trying to figure out how they're going to take care of these expenses. You want to have something in place so that if one of you are gone, you have enough that's going to at least make up what their income was.
Exactly.
You know, because you want to alleviate, your family already going to be grieving, but you don't want them to be grieving and then trying to figure out how to pay. What you want them to do? Just take your body and throw it in the lake?
No, because let me say this. It's gonna rub some folks the wrong way, but GoFundMe is not how you're supposed to do this. That's not how you're supposed to take care of that. It's not supposed to be a GoFundMe. You set up a GoFundMe account to take care of that. No, you're supposed to have that stuff taken care of yourself.
Yeah, there are times where it's like an emergency. Sometimes, a young child or, something that hasn't been. But it's best to have stuff already in place.
No, let's look at that. Gerber got life insurance policies that you can pay no money, practically no money at all. See, we want to make excuses for stuff, but at the same token, you buying all these clothes. You got 12 Gucci bags, and you got all this other stuff that don't mean nothing in your closet, cause you trying to floss. You know what I'm saying? You trying to stunt. You trying to have all this swag, but you spending all this money on that stuff, but you haven't taken care of the necessary things.
That's why we talking about finances, priorities.
Exactly.
And
so, no, I'm saying that because we can't make an excuse for that. Because they're always, if you don't get a regular life insurance policy, listen, we can talk offline about that because that's a part of what I do as well. So we could talk offline about that or at another segment. But there are a lot of different things that you can do to make sure that that's in place.
Right. Setting budgets. Make sure you have budgets set.
Exactly.
another good thing too with finances is come up with a agreement between the two, because anything you do with finance is going to affect the whole family,
Exactly.
children and all. An amount that you set up that you can spend without having to notify like your spouse. You know, what amount are you going to set to say, hey, okay, I saw this shirt. The shirt was $500. Nope, you need to call. You know, what amount are you going to have? You know what I'm saying? Like, what amount are we going to agree on that we have to get permission from that spouse before we spend that money? What? What are you laughing at?
I learned that the first year.
I told y'all.
No, I was buying Crocs.
Look, let me tell y'all.
Let me say
story.
this.
No, let me tell this story first real quick.
But let me make this plain, though. We've been married going on 20 years.
Yeah, so
that was year number one.
Was way back, but let me tell you what so, you know how when you have the account, right? So you have your 2 debit cards. And so I'm trying to balance, and then I keep seeing these withdrawals. And I'm like, wait a minute. My goodness, Brandon, at $500. So you see all these withdrawals. I'm trying to figure out why the account won't balance.
That was 1999 because they were saying it was going to end in 2000.
But look, and then I'm trying to figure out, what is you spending $20 on every day? If you took $20 out today, what do you need? Another $20 for tomorrow on Tuesday, another $20 on Wednesday, another $20 on Thursday, another $20 on Friday, another $20 on Saturday, Sunday.
I used to eat real good.
Y'all, we had to overcome some financial struggles.
Yes. And so that's why we laugh a lot about this, because you guys have no idea what we've gone through to get to this point. Oh my God, sweetheart.
But just run through these real quick. These are just some of the solutions to the financial challenges when you're faced with certain things.
So solutions to financial challenges.
This is just some of the solutions that have helped.
Talk about finances before you get married.
Yeah.
If you're already married, you definitely should have a conversation about finances.
Right.
So talk about it before you get married. If you already married, hey Chief, leave me alone, man. If you're already married, definitely you should have a conversation about it. Decide which person would be the better person to handle finances. That's paying bills, etc. Provide spreadsheets weekly or monthly. My wife,
because you always still want to keep them informed, even though one person is the one responsible for the finances. It's still important that the other spouse at least know what's going on.
I get a spreadsheet every 2 weeks, regardless, and so it's important. You need to know where the money is going and how much of it is going out.
Right.
Okay. Set up a plan to pay off all old debt.
If you have old debt.
If you have old debt, listen. Start with the smallest first.
Period. Don't even have to be old.
But I'm just saying, start with the smallest first, and then build your way up. Once you pay off the smallest, now you shift that money.
Yep.
You shift that money to the next one. Once you do that, then you shift that money to the next one. Just some practical things you can do to get yourself in the position that you want to be in.
Right. Make sure you have a savings account.
Yes.
Set up a savings fund.
Set up a savings account. Set an agreed amount that would be allowed to be spent. We talked about that. What's our agreed amount?
We don't really, neither one of us really like spend like that. But I mean, we normally, I don't even think we go over $100 with.
I think I'm pretty much anything over $50. Yeah.
You done got better, but he done got better. But
hold on, let's make this clear. Because you said that. Do I spend over $100? That's what I want to know.
I don't know, because you know what? We forgot one on here. It says, "Is your spouse honest about their finances?"
Shots fired. Shots fired. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Did we anticipate skip that one?
Yeah, you did, because you was reading them.
No, you cut me off.
Oh, okay.
You switched up on me, so don't try to put that out there like that. No, but that's important. Read that again.
Oh,
that's important.
I said,
we don't want to miss that one.
Yeah, is your spouse honest about their finances? Because
Yes.
sometimes people not always honest about. They say, they may say they making certain amount, or they may say, oh, my check was only $300 this week, and then a couple weeks later you go find a paycheck stub, and the paycheck stub said $1,500. So now you looking at, you said 300, this was 1,500. What the rest of that money?
Oh, I gotta tell the story real quick.
All right, go ahead. Tell the story.
I remember before we were moved back, before we relocated back up here. It was our 10th wedding anniversary. It was our 10th wedding anniversary coming up, and so I had about 5,000 saved. I to the side. I had about 5,000 to the side. I don't know if it was that much. But it's about 4,500. It's about 4,500. I had it, and I had it in the house. I didn't put it in the account. I had it in the house because I promised her in 10 years I was gonna upgrade her ring. Mm-hmm. And so I'm at work and I get this text and she's like, "Is it something you want to tell me?" And I'm like, "No, not really. Not that I could think of." And she said, "Well, what's all this money in this box?" What's all this money in this box? I'm like, what box you talking about? I'm like, oh my gosh, she done found the money. And so she found the money, but the thing about it was we wound up relocating back here 2 weeks after she found her ring money. And so we had to use that money for our expenses when we moved back here. But it's important, guys. We want to share this with you. I know you guys, like, they are hilarious. Listen, we want to give out another book, as we've been doing for the last, month now?
Yeah, about that.
About the last month, and this is The Power of Prayer to Change Your Marriage.
Now, we do ask, though, when we sow, because we're sowing this into people's lives,
Yes.
to help you as a tool, to advance you. So we do ask when we sow into you, you have up until the next broadcast to reach us via email with your information on how we can get, the gift to you. And that's via our email at weareablendedfamily@gmail.com.
And so who was that person? Because we're out of time.
The first person that tuned in was Chris Cherry, was the first name I saw on there.
So Chris, listen, we need you to email us at weareablendedfamily@gmail.com with your contact information, and we'll be more than happy to sow this awesome read into your life. Everything that we're sowing, we've already been partakers of it, and so we want to make sure that you guys are getting good. We are in the blender, and so we want to make sure you're getting good ingredients to put into your blender so that you too can have the benefit of having a successful blended family. We love you guys. We thank you for viewing in.
Something to Chief too.
Oh yeah, I got you. So we love you guys. We thank you for tuning in. And until next week, bye bye.